Yo, what's the deal, fam? It's your man Ease. Today we talking that Mobb Deep Infinite album was dropped October 10th, 2025. Cut through all the chase, straight to the point. I absolutely love the album. Big Queen. Shout out to Mass Appeal, Havoc, Alchemist, Mobb Deep, everybody involved with the project, man. First off, first thing that jumps out to mind as a fan of music and of the legacy of Prodigy and Mobb Deep, the collective as a whole, they got straight to the music. Sometimes with tribute albums or posthumous albums, people tend to go left field and do things they wouldn't typically do. There were no orchestras, there was no monologue, no dramatic tribute, none of that, which works for some, but for the Mobb Deep sound, I love the fact that they got right to the music. And that first song ended up being what? A song that we all enjoy. The first single, which was released, it happens to be Against the World. Some things that jump out about that single or song would be vintage Mobb Deep energy, dark, moody, cinematic. And I've spoken about this in the past when the album first came out. Excuse me, when the single first came out. I have a video. You can check that out. But I'm just going to give an overview of the things I spoke about. That way it doesn't sound redundant for those who've already heard or seen that video. Number two, the beat hits hard. That prototypical Queenbridge soul. Equal parts grit and reflection. Produced by Havoc. Prodigy voice cuts through the mix. It's like he's here in live, in living form, still writing rhymes for all of us to enjoy. Song was mixed by the legendary Eddie Sancho. Havoc's production, sharp. Uh, it's not nostalgic because it's evolution. He's pushing forward, but it's is a throwback to what the standard once was in production in a sense, right? As far as 90s go, with the hard-hitting drums, solid sample, beats and rhymes, right? He checked that mark perfectly. It feels like we opened up a time capsule, which kind of connects to the term nostalgic in some ways, but somehow it's still brand new. Evolution. So that's Against the World, track one. But once again, for those who haven't heard my initial response or reaction to the joint, I'll put a link in the description. Track two was what? Gunfire. Production, gothic, reminiscent of like a horrific string loop, like a lot of tension going on there. String stabs, hitting the perfect sync with it all. It doesn't seem erratic, like it's perfectly placed or fit within the production. The kicks got bottom, the kick drum I'm speaking about, but enough to breathe in a sense. Snare is well rounded with a hint of reverb, an occasional flam that gives it some movement and fluid throughout the track. Um, great great drum programming. I believe, yeah, Alchemist produced this ALC, clinical, doing what he does. Precision, feel. Prodigy, as far as the verses go, he sounds very comfortable. It's amazing how he's saying that, right? Like almost in the present tense, because that's what I felt just listening to this music. Like you didn't feel like these were some old recycled whack verses, and it was a money grab. That production, the way they put it all together made it seem as though P was still here with us, man. He's right in pocket. That's one of his gifts. Within 3 or 4 bars, he brought me back to like the Albert Einstein project that him and Alchemist did in the past. Conversational rap that doesn't even need to rhyme, but it still hits. That's a skill within itself. That's Prodigy, man. His tone is calm, but very commanding. It's like you're telling someone about your experience directly, and it's sitting right next to you without interruption. That's what I feel as though when he's rhyming, what comes across. Like it's so engaged and no one is interrupting. He has everyone's ears in the room. Very commanding, like I once said. Havoc on this joint, he went crazy. Can't front. He had a hell of a performance on the whole album, to be honest with you. He raps like he's offended, like someone would question his abilities or his legacy. His vocals sit perfectly in the mix once again. Tight flow, clean delivery, and it complements Prodigy perfectly. That's what makes a group or duos or trios, whatever, work when one provides an element, another person can play off of that. It doesn't sound redundant, right? Yin and yang, right? perfect combination. The real highlight here, though, for me would be the production, which was Alchemist. He left space within the beat, which gives both MCs, Havoc and Prodigy, room to breathe and be effective without doing too much. I always speak about this on this channel. You have to do what's best for the record. And that's exactly what this song it's kind of like a barometer, you know. Gunfire, beats and rhymes, allow the rappers or the MCs to have space to create, and the rappers and MCs are not doing too much and clashing with the production. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel. They just did what they do on a daily basis. Beats and rhymes, stay raw. Mobb Deep. So that's Gunfire, track 2. We go down to track 3, Easy Bruh. Yeah, as far as the production goes, it's like very atmospheric. The sample itself, like a sustained note, not even a sample, like one note, and underneath it is like a faint crowd ovation that fades out very early, but it's still, the presence is definitely felt in a sense. I also heard 2 chords dancing together, one in eighth notes, pan slightly right, the other, I believe, in quarter notes, pan slightly left. Sounds like they might be an organ sample in there too, sitting quietly in the back before the loop resolves, meaning that before the 4-bar loop ends and returns back to the 1, I hear like a little organ there. Snare is well rounded with a touch of air. Kick is truncated, meaning that the air is taken away in a sense, but strong in the mids. Open hi-hat gives us something added. It adds something, a different quality, very simplistic, but the placement is perfect, and it just adds something different to the loop itself or the drum pattern. Prodigy on the chorus sounds energized, upbeat, and it took me back to almost 20 years ago. The Blood Money album on G Unit, on Capital P. That's the first thing that came to mind, like that type of energy. He sounded very confident, very commanding. He felt like, yo, I'm a legend, and this is what I do. Y'all gonna hear me out, and ain't nothing you can do about it. His verse, straight, no chaser, no room for misinterpretation, miscommunication, lies, narratives. He said what he said. That's Prodigy. Havoc takes the same approach, starts very reflective, little line about his humble beginnings where he started from. But halfway through, he flips the switch, reminding you who he is. Havoc was wigging on this album, by the way, man. Production and rhyming-wise and hooks. Just, he's a legend. He's a legend for sure. We knew that, but after this album, I think his phone is going to be on fire again. It should have been. He definitely going to get some phone calls. Definitely. By the end of his verse, he's not just reminiscing. He's reaffirming that Mobb Deep's power and position within the culture. That's what I was feeling as I was listening to that track. It's storytelling mixed with legacy, and both of them ride the beat like it was tailor-made for the exact moment. Once again, this is a posthumous album. We've seen albums by MCs or artists who are no longer here, and the people who are in charge of said project have that artist featured with people they would never work with, whether it's the producer or the MC. Havoc and the Alchemist and Sean C., who's the A&R coordinator on this project, ensured and showed us and displayed that they respect P's legacy. They kept it mob. It's not a money grab. There was intentionality about the placement of his verses, the collaborations. There was nothing left field about this. There was all care and respect. And you have to commend those individuals about that or for that. So next track, we have Look at Me. Havoc can turn anything into something grimy. I don't care what it is, man. He can take a upbeat hymn from church, and by the time he sample it, it got some grit to it, you know? And this adds to that. I think it's like a vintage keyboard sample or a filtered synth. I could be wrong. Either way, it's filthy. There's a cymbal sound triggered like on a note repeat. Remember on the MPCs? They probably still got them on the joints too. Probably called something else, but note tap repeat. That's what I'm hearing like when the cymbal's playing. Creates texture, but it doesn't clutter up the joint. The kick knocks. Snare has that a piccolo snare pop. but the tension is loosened on it. You know how when you have a snare, you can lift up the tension joint or slap it down. It sounds like the tension isn't on it, but it's a piccolo. The clipse feature, masterful. I like how they were playing off the energy. Like, so Pusha T and Malice, they trade bars going back and forth seamlessly with Hav and P. I love how after P finished rhyming, he says, what would Hav say, right? And Hav goes into his joint seamlessly. And then Pusha T, when they start rhyming, he said, I'd rather rhyme with your spirit, having a conversation with Prodigy. So it seems as though the way they're doing it, it's the intentionality I was talking about, how the way they're writing, putting the time and effort into it, it comes across as if they were all in the studio and they thought of that together. That's what production is about, man. I be saying it all the time. Beats and rhymes, samples, chord progressions, that's part of it. But intentionality, understanding what is right for the song, the assignment, and to give the fans, the culture, or just hip-hop in general, the best records. And this shows that. 4 masterful individuals in the room together. It feels like everyone was in the same room, like I stated. The chemistry, is that real? A long-awaited collaboration. We know how much Pusha T loves Mobb Deep, and this song lived up to it.
Hey, yo,